Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And today we're going to get into the world of AI infrastructure,
Okay.
which I know is something that a lot of our listeners are very interested in.
Absolutely.
We're going to be focusing on Broadcom today.
Okay.
So Broadcom, being a major player in the semiconductor industry, recently had an investor meeting focusing all on AI solutions.
Right.
And we're going to look at some of the key takeaways from that meeting and some articles that were written about it.
Yeah, this is a really exciting area, and it's moving so fast.
Absolutely.
Everybody wants to know how AI works, but most people don't think about,
The hardware.
the actual infrastructure that's necessary to make it work, particularly when you start talking about large-scale AI deployments.
Right. And Broadcom's really putting their money where their mouth is because they're saying that they're projecting that revenue from their AI solutions will reach $10 billion in the fiscal year 2024.
Wow, that's a huge number. It really shows how the whole landscape is changing. And it really emphasizes the fact that Broadcom is becoming a major player in AI hardware.
Right.
It's a real shift for them, and it's happening quickly.
Yeah. They're actually even creating custom AI accelerators, which are called XPUs, for some of their largest customers.
Oh, wow.
These are not off-the-shelf products. They're working with these major companies and really tailoring these
So they're really customized.
to their needs. And they're already scaling up production on these things with these multi-year partnerships.
That's really interesting because it shows just how much demand there is for this kind of specialized hardware.
Right.
Off the shelf just doesn't cut it for some of these really demanding AI applications.
Yeah, and there was this quote from Meta in one of the articles that really jumped out at me. They said that the computer IS, the network, and it really kind of highlights how essential interconnectedness is in this whole world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not just about having a powerful processor anymore.
Right.
It's really about how all the different parts of the system work together, how they communicate, how quickly and efficiently they can share information.
Right. And these aren't your typical office networks that we're talking about.
No, I don't.
These are massive amounts of data that need to be transferred between all these accelerators, and they have to be able to handle these huge surges in traffic and keep everything synchronized for these processes to happen.
Right. Any slowdown in the network could have a huge impact on the overall performance.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about speed either. It's about handling those sudden bursts of data that are common in AI workloads.
And Broadcom's own data shows that even small network inefficiencies can really increase those AI workload completion times.
Yeah, it's amazing how much of a difference a well-designed network can make.
Right.
For example, think about those recommendation algorithms that seem to know what you want before you even do.
Right.
Those rely on incredibly fast data processing and communication.
Yeah.
If the network isn't up to par, those suggestions are going to be a lot less impressive.
So how are they addressing these challenges?
Well, they've got a couple of specialized networking chips that they've introduced.
Sure.
One is called the Jericho 3 AI,
Okay.
and that's specifically designed to optimize the data transfer between AI accelerators.
Okay.
And then there's the Tomahawk 5, which is aimed at providing that really high bandwidth connectivity in data centers.
So they've got both ends covered there.
Yeah.
They've got that really intricate, in the server connection, and then they've also got those high-speed highways between servers.
Exactly. They're trying to make sure that data can flow freely and efficiently no matter where it needs to go.
And how do these actually solve the problems that we were just talking about?
We'll take the Jericho 3 AI fabric, for example.
Okay.
That achieves extremely low latency and very high bandwidth, so those accelerators can talk to each other with minimal delays,
Yeah.
which is really critical when you're doing these complex computations.
Yeah.
And then the Tomahawk 5 has something like an 80 times increase in bandwidth compared to previous generations. So imagine you're training an AI model that used to take weeks to complete.
Right.
Now you can potentially do it in a matter of days.
That's a game changer.
Yeah, it really accelerates the whole research and development process.
Right. And what about the structure of these networks? Because there are a couple of different ways to organize these things, right?
Yeah, you're right. You could have a centralized system where a single switch manages all the traffic and scheduling, kind of like a central train station directing all the routes. That's known as a switch-scheduled network.
Okay, so what's the other way?
The other approach is more decentralized,
Okay.
where each endpoint or AI accelerator makes its own decisions about routing and connections.
So it's more independent.
Exactly. It's like having independent train stations managing their own schedules. That's called an endpoint scheduled network.
So Broadcom is catering to both of these.
Yeah, they are. They understand that different clients have different needs, and they want to provide flexibility.
Right.
And we can't forget about their Thor 2 NIC, which is a network interface card that's specifically optimized for AI workloads. It's like the engine that powers those AI data trains, but with high-scale RDMA capabilities and really impressive power efficiency.
So it sounds like they've really thought of everything.
They're trying to cover all the bases.
But isn't there kind of a debate going on in the AI world about which networking technology is best?
Oh, yeah. There's definitely a discussion about that.
Yeah.
It's mainly about Ethernet versus InfiniBand.
Right.
Traditionally, InfiniBand was the preferred choice for high-performance computing because of its low latency.
Okay.
But Ethernet has really been catching up. And Broadcom has actually done some internal testing to compare the two specifically for AI workloads.
And what do they find?
Well, their results are pretty interesting. In their tests, Ethernet actually outperformed InfiniBand when it came to job completion time. We're talking about a 10% improvement.
Wow.
And it also had significantly faster failover times, like 30 times faster.
That's really impressive.
It is, and it suggests that Ethernet, with its cost advantages and its reliability, and now its proven performance in AI, might be the better choice for these large-scale AI deployments.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's something to keep an eye on for sure.
Absolutely.
And it seems like they're really doubling down on Ethernet by pushing something called Ultra Ethernet.
Ultra Ethernet?
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, it's basically a whole set of enhancements and features designed specifically for these massive AI clusters. We're talking about optimizing for high bandwidth, low latency, but also things like ensuring efficient data transfer and making sure that there are robust failover mechanisms so that those AI workloads can keep running smoothly.
So it's like they're taking all the good things about Ethernet, like the reliability and the cost effectiveness,
right,
and then making it even better for the AI world.
Exactly. They're trying to supercharge it for AI.
And it sounds like it's really resonating with the industry because I read that over 55 companies are already on board with this Ultra Ethernet initiative.
Yeah, that's a really strong indication that this is something to pay attention to.
Absolutely. And it seems like Broadcom is really taking a holistic approach here.
Yeah.
They're not just focusing on the hardware, they're looking at the entire ecosystem.
You're right. They're thinking about everything from the physical components to the network control and automation, the operating systems, and even the hardware platforms themselves.
Wow. So it's a really comprehensive solution.
It is. They're not leaving anything to chance.
And another key part of this seems to be their focus on modernizing RDMA. So remote direct memory access, which I'm not a networking expert, but from what I understand, this is all about making that data sharing between systems much more efficient.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
Okay.
RDMA lets different systems access each other's memory directly.
Okay.
So you can bypass a lot of the usual overhead. It's kind of like creating a shortcut for data to travel between different parts of the AI infrastructure.
So I'm trying to understand the differences here between kind of the classic RDMA and what Broadcom is doing with their modernized approach.
Sure.
What's the real impact there?
Well, think of classic RDMA as being a bit rigid.
Okay.
It relies on data packets arriving in a very specific order, which can cause bottlenecks if there are any delays or dropped packets. It's kind of like a single-lane road where a minor accident can cause a huge traffic jam.
So Broadcom's modernization is like adding more lanes to that highway?
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Okay.
Their approach allows for something called out-of-order packet delivery, so the packets can arrive in any order and still be processed efficiently.
It's much more flexible.
Exactly. It's a lot more resilient as well.
So it's kind of like having a smarter traffic management system that can route data around any potential bottleneck.
Precisely. And there are other benefits too. For example, their modernized RDMA only requires the retransmission of the lost packets, which saves time and bandwidth. It also allows data to be sent over multiple paths simultaneously.
Wow.
For greater efficiency and redundancy. And maybe even more importantly, it has configuration-free congestion control, which means that it automatically adjusts to the network conditions to prevent those bottlenecks from happening in the first place.
So that really takes a lot of the guesswork out of it.
It does. It makes it a lot easier to manage these complex systems.
So they've really got the networking side of things covered.
Right.
But what about within the servers themselves? Because you've got all those CPUs and GPUs and other components, and they need to talk to each other incredibly quickly.
You're absolutely right. That's where the server interconnect comes in.
And this is another area where Broadcom has a lot of experience, right?
They do. Their PCIe switches and retimers are already widely used in data centers.
Right. PCIe being Peripheral Component Interconnect Express, for people who don't know.
Right.
And that's the standard for connecting all those high-speed components within a computer.
Exactly.
But I imagine that with AI servers, they really push those connections to their absolute limits.
Oh, absolutely. The amount of data that's moving around inside an AI server is just astronomical.
Yeah.
Traditional PCIe solutions can really struggle to keep up. So Broadcom is developing these specialized PCIe switches and retimers that are optimized for these really demanding AI workloads. They provide higher bandwidth, lower latency, and they're even more power efficient.
So they're basically making sure that all the different parts within the server can communicate as quickly and efficiently as possible.
Exactly.
Without any bottlenecks to slow things down.
Right. They're trying to remove any obstacles to that data flow.
And it's worth noting that Broadcom has been kind of a leader in PCIe development for a long time.
Oh, yeah. They've been at the forefront of this technology for decades.
Really?
They were the first to market with each new generation of PCIe.
Wow.
So they're not just following the trends, they're actually setting them.
That's really impressive, and it seems like they're already thinking ahead to what's next because they've accelerated the introduction of their solutions for these future generations of PCIe.
All right, they want to make sure that AI infrastructure can stay ahead of the curve.
And they're not doing it alone either.
No, they're not. They're collaborating with other key players like AMD to develop what are called scale-up fabrics for AI servers.
Scale-up fabrics?
Yeah, these fabrics allow you to interconnect multiple servers.
Okay.
So you can create these even larger, more powerful AI systems.
It's like connecting multiple cities with high-speed rail.
That's a great analogy.
So you have this massive interconnected network that can share resources and work together seamlessly.
Exactly.
Right.
And that kind of scalability is absolutely crucial for the future of AI as these models continue to grow in size and complexity.
So we've talked about the networking, we've talked about the server interconnect, we even touched upon sustainability a little bit earlier.
Right.
But there's one piece of the puzzle that I'm really excited to dig into.
Okay.
And that is Broadcom's work with these custom AI accelerators, the XPUs.
Yeah, this is where Broadcom really shines. They're going beyond just providing those general purpose components, and they're designing these chips that are tailored to the specific needs of their AI clients.
And this is not a new thing for them. They've been involved in custom silicon development for over a decade.
Yeah.
But it feels like they're really ramping things up in the AI space.
Absolutely. They've already delivered over 10 custom XPUs, and they have even more in development. And these aren't just small projects either. We're talking about major partnerships that stretch years into the future.
Yeah.
And they've built a really impressive portfolio of intellectual property to support all this custom XPU development.
Right. And we talked earlier about how this customization allows for optimized performance and efficiency.
Right.
So what are some real-world examples of how these XPUs are actually being used?
Broadcom doesn't disclose specific client details for obvious reason.
Right.
But they have highlighted some of the key application areas.
Yeah.
For instance, they've developed XPUs for natural language processing, which is the technology behind all those increasingly human-like conversations that we're having with AI these days.
Right, whether it's chatbots or voice assistants.
Exactly.
It's really changing the way we interact with technology.
It is, and it's quite possible that Broadcom's custom silicon is playing a role in those really seamless AI interactions that we're seeing more and more.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to think about.
It is. They've also developed XPUs for computer vision applications, which are used in everything from self-driving cars to medical image analysis. These are fields where specialized hardware can make a huge difference.
It's mind-boggling to think that Broadcom's technology is powering all these cutting-edge AI applications.
It's pretty incredible, and their development process is very collaborative.
Oh.
They work very closely with their clients from the very beginning, starting with the architectural design phase.
Oh, okay.
They really dive deep into the specific requirements of the AI model, the workloads that it needs to handle the performance targets, and any power constraints that might exist.
So it's not just a one-size-fits-all approach.
No, not at all. They're crafting each XPU to fit the unique needs of the client and their specific AI application.
That's really interesting, and I imagine they bring a lot of expertise to the table.
They do. They have a really deep understanding of AI algorithms, hardware architectures, and the latest manufacturing processes.
Right, and they're not just handing over a chip and saying good luck.
No, they provide a complete solution.
Okay.
They include all the necessary firmware and software to ensure seamless integration. Their XPUs undergo rigorous testing to make sure that they're reliable under a variety of different conditions.
Right. So they're really trying to create a smooth experience for their clients.
Absolutely. And from what I've read, they have a really strong track record of delivering these complex custom XPUs.
Yeah, it seems like they've really honed their design process over the years, and they can bring new XPUs to market really quickly.
Yeah, usually within 7 to 9 months.
Which is essential in such a fast-paced field like AI.
Absolutely. You have to be able to move quickly to stay ahead of the curve.
Right. It's not just about speed, though. It's about the quality of the engineering.
Right.
It seems like they're constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible with these custom AI accelerators.
Yeah, they really are. They've been tackling some increasingly complex challenges in XPU design, like boosting the compute performance and the network bandwidth, but also managing the power delivery and ensuring thermal integrity. It's really cutting-edge stuff.
So it sounds like Broadcom is playing a pretty vital role in shaping the future of AI.
I think so.
Their custom XPUs are enabling breakthroughs in all sorts of fields. You know, everything from those everyday things like natural language processing and computer vision,
Right,
to more specialized areas like drug discovery and financial modeling.
absolutely. It's a really wide range of applications.
And it doesn't sound like they're slowing down anytime soon.
Not at all. They've invested heavily in the technology and the intellectual property, and that really sets the stage for even more complex and powerful AI accelerators in the future.
So we've talked about their networking solutions, their PCIe expertise, their focus on sustainability, and of course all their impressive work with these custom XPUs. But I'm trying to put all the pieces together now.
Okay.
How does everything fit?
Well, think of it as a layered approach,
Okay.
where each layer builds upon the one below it. At the very foundation, you have those fundamental technologies like SerDes and digital signal processors, or DSPs.
Okay.
These are the building blocks for high-speed data transmission, the essential ingredients for everything else.
So that's like the groundwork.
Exactly.
That comes
Then
out.
you have the networking layer.
Okay.
With solutions like Jericho 3 AI and Tomahawk 5, these are designed to create those high-bandwidth, low-latency connections that allow all those AI clusters to communicate effectively.
And within each server, you have the PCIe interconnect
Right.
with Broadcom switches and retimers working to ensure that smooth data flow between all those CPUs and GPUs and all the other components.
It's like a miniature highway system inside the server.
Yeah.
And then at the very top, you have the custom XPUs.
Right.
The specialized processors designed to handle the unique demands of all these modern AI models. They're like the brains of the whole operation.
So it's a really comprehensive approach.
It is.
Broadcom is providing solutions at every level of that AI infrastructure stack,
Exactly.
from those fundamental building blocks to those highly specialized processors.
And they're not just offering these standalone components either.
Right.
They're really focused on integrating all of these solutions into a cohesive, optimized whole.
That makes sense.
You know, that integrated approach is absolutely crucial for maximizing performance and efficiency while keeping costs down.
And that focus on integration is really evident in their advancements with co-packaged optics or CPO,
Right.
bringing those optical components closer to the silicon,
Yeah.
reducing power consumption and costs.
CPO is a potential game changer for AI infrastructure, and Broadcom is really leading the way there.
Yeah.
They've already integrated their Bailey CPO onto the Tomahawk 5 switch, and they're actively developing even more advanced solutions.
It's amazing how they're pushing the boundaries.
It is, and they're not afraid to challenge the status quo either.
Right.
Their findings about Ethernet potentially outperforming InfiniBand in certain AI workloads is a great example of that.
Yeah, they're always experimenting and looking for new and better ways to do things.
That willingness to innovate and challenge those conventional ways of thinking, that's what makes them so interesting to follow.
Absolutely.
They're clearly committed to enabling the future of AI, and they have the technical expertise and the vision to make a real impact.
But AI is such a fast-moving field. There are going to be challenges ahead, for sure.
There always are.
Yeah.
The AI hardware landscape is incredibly competitive, and new companies are popping up all the time.
It's hard to keep up.
It is.
Yeah.
And the pace of technological advancement is relentless. What's cutting edge today could be outdated tomorrow.
That's true.
So Broadcom is going to have to stay agile to maintain their leadership position.
Absolutely. So they'll need to keep investing in research and development.
Sure.
Navigate all those industry challenges like those rising manufacturing costs.
Right.
And, of course, attract and retain the best talent.
That's a big one. It's a very competitive market out there.
Yeah, and it's not just about technical skill.
Yeah, you need more than that.
It's about fostering that culture of innovation and collaboration.
Yeah, you have to create an environment where people can do their best work and come up with new ideas.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with one big question. What's next for Broadcom in this world of AI?
What new areas will they explore? What breakthroughs will they enable? The future of AI is full of possibilities, and it seems like Broadcom is really well positioned to play a leading role in shaping it.
That's a great point and a great note to end on.
It is.
So thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of Broadcom and AI infrastructure.
It was my pleasure.
We hope you learned a lot about this complex and evolving field.
Yeah, me too.
And be sure to check out the show notes for links to more information on Broadcom and their AI solutions.
Always good to do your own research.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep learning and keep exploring.
See you then.